Join me and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and for the last time, drum roll, Ms. Scott, would you please give us a roll call and certify we have quorum?
Yes, sir. Town of Ashland, Ms. Barnhart. Charles City County, Mr. Patterson.
Present.
Chesterfield County, Mr. Holland. Goochland County, Mr. Lyle.
Present.
Hanover County, Mr. Davis. Henrico County, Chair Rogish.
Here.
New Kent County, Mr. Moyer. Powhatan County, Mr. Kenny. And City of Richmond, Dr. Newbill. Here. Thank you. That concludes the roll call for attendance. We do not have a quorum.
Okay, and we do not have anyone that has requested to participate remotely at this time. So at this point, we will not be able to approve the minutes for the last meeting. I will turn it over to Ms. Schickel and keep looking up to see if somebody walks in the door. I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Schickel, for number 7.
Thank you. Believe it or not, even though it's October, the next time this body will get together or the policy board will get together will be at the December 4th joint annual meeting. So Chair Rogish and I were talking and just wanted to get some ideas from you as he starts to confer with the chairs of the CVTA and the Plan RVA Commission to understand what topics you might like to explore at that joint annual meeting. For a little bit of history, it is something that we must have started maybe about 4 years ago to really bring the 3 boards together. Think of it like what might happen in your localities with a joint meeting between the board and your school board or the board and your planning commission, just to get kind of alignment, hear broadly what each of the boards are working toward, ensure that there's common direction in how we support one another, that kind of thing. We've used the program to bring in outside speakers in the past. So we've hosted the Secretary of Transportation a number of times. We used the session last year to facilitate a dialogue among the members of the 3 boards about our regional strategic vision and where we wanted to go as a region collectively for the 3 boards. So really, I think it's open for the opportunity to think about, maybe think big, maybe think about the future of transportation or transportation issues that are facing the region and how our boards need to zoom out of the month-to-month agenda item work and kind of talk bigger picture. So I know you had a couple of ideas and are planning to talk with the other chairs, so.
Yeah, my thing, to talk to the other to the Chair of Plan RVA and CVTA, but I'm opening it up for any other ideas that folks have to talk about at those meetings. I mean,
Well, thank you if you call me out by name.
there are only 4 of us, so.
Yes, sir. There will be an election in November and I don't know, there will be a new administration, TBD. Is there any opportunity to get someone from that incoming administration who may either be a designate for transportation or the Senate won't change, but the House of Delegates will have new members. I'm just thinking of people who have budget impacts would possibly illuminate and share their visions. I don't know what the protocol is. Typically, they're busy right after the election, but if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. I think we could work with some of our partners to identify key people that could represent.
Yeah, the timing may work out. I mean, it'll be about a month after the election, so they may not have identified, you on either side who that might be, but it might work out.
You plant our seeds early because it takes a while for a crop to grow.
It's not uncommon to extend awareness of a date after an election before the election occurs to both candidates.
I know the governor's tourism conference is in November,
Yeah.
literally 2 weeks after the election, and Governor Youngkin, before he took office, had attended. I know that Governor McAuliffe was, I can't recall Governor Northam coming, but Governor McAuliffe was very present in those. So there's my thoughts. So now Mr. Patterson has to chime in.
Mr. Chair, I am on board with Mr. Lyle's suggestion. What's the date of the joint meeting?
December 4th. December 4th, yeah.
And it should already be on your calendar.
And that is our next meeting, so we don't have one in November, so.
I certainly concur with what you have articulated. I am anxious, to say the least, given what's going on at the national level. I think I even heard, was even sideways, something about transportation and funding thereof. The sooner we can know and understand the implications of funding, resource availability around transportation, better. December, I know that's our next date, but a lot is moving. I think we need to certainly do it then. But, you know, if we can have opportunity to even get feedback from folks in written form, we can inquire. I don't know, but I'm concerned about
Okay.
transportation,
Yeah.
and funding and resources, and having some sense of where we are and then what we do then across our regional partnership to make sure we can continue to provide as close as we've been trying to the access transportation wide for the regions.
A couple thoughts on that. Our National Association, AMPO, the American, gosh, I don't know what that stands for.
Metropolitan Planning Organization.
What's that?
AMPO.
Miles, is that what it stands for?
That's what I said.
American?
I could be wrong.
Association of Metropolitan Planning Organization. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
Give me a thumbs up back there, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. So AMPO puts out a lot of information, but they are our organization in DC that
Okay.
watches this. So we could think about a briefing from, and especially since we're so close, it probably wouldn't be too hard. And with transportation reauthorization being a priority after we get through the current budget issues in DC, that could be a topic worthwhile to have those folks brief us. I know Chet Parsons is also on the board for TRB, Transportation Review Board. So we've got some good connections through our networks here in the Richmond region with folks that have good line of sight. And then I would imagine ASHTO is another great resource, the Association of State Transportation Organizations, I guess it's called. That's another great, we're not a member, but VDOT is. So that's a good resource. And there's a pretty active coalition, if I'm not mistaken right now, of the National Association of Counties. I don't know if National League of Cities is part of it. I'll have to double check that, but I know NACO is. National Association of Development Organizations, our professional advocacy organization, National Association of Regional Councils, which we're also a member, AMPO, ASHTO, they've all formed a coalition to advocate with a unified voice in DC with respect to transportation reauthorization. So any of those folks that we have pretty good access to would probably be worthwhile speakers to give a landscape briefing.
So we have 3 ideas on the table. I'll reach out to the chair of the other 2 committees, Ms. Stewart and Mr. Nelson. And if anyone has any other additional ideas, please send them, either to Ms. Schick or to myself. And we'll socialize with them to get an agenda put together for December 4th, so.
And that would include looking at impact or potential impact of funding for TPO entities.
Yeah.
As well as, transportation.
Okay, good discussion. Any other comments? Do you want to talk at all about the bylaws in this or?
Yes, I think if you wouldn't mind, since we do have a little bit of time, Mr. Gregory and I connected yesterday and just wanted to highlight a couple things relative to the bylaws. So we can tag team if you want.
Sure. So the bylaws are in your, the larger packet in the back.
don't know if it was the last time you all met or the time before that, but sometime in the recent past, you directed Ms. Schickel and I to institute some revisions to the bylaws, and gave us specific direction on those. We have prepared those for you in your agenda packet today. Most of the revisions are housekeeping and sort of cleaning up the document. But there are some more substantive changes that you all requested. If you will turn to agenda packet page 44, you'll see the beginning of those changes. The previous changes in the document are just cleanups. One thing to clarify, the total votes there, and thank you, Chairman Rogish, for pointing this out to us. We're not mathematically inclined as you are. The total vote should be 27, not 28.
And the only reason I caught that is that's usually my golf score on a 9-hole, so that was easy for me to figure. I'm kidding.
I do that too.
So that's one correction that if the board approves, we can make that change today. That's a housekeeping matter. More substantively, when you get down into the list under the Commonwealth's appointment represents all departments within the Secretariat, we're going to, and this is not reflected in the draft that you have, but we're going to recommend that you strike Virginia Port Authority from that list under the Secretariat of Transportation for a good reason. And that reason is that the Virginia Port Authority is not under the Transportation Secretariat. It's a separate state authority, as is the Virginia Space Flight Authority. So we're going to recommend that you strike that. All other, as far as I am aware, all other of those listed bodies or government agencies fall within the Secretariat of Transportation. So the idea being that the Transportation Secretary's representation on this board encompasses all those other agencies, so they do not need to be separately represented. So that's that item. And then going down to the non-voting membership, Virginia Port Authority is listed there, as you will see, and we will, I'm not sure if you all want to list the Virginia Commercial Space Flight Authority. That's transportation, not necessarily within the Commonwealth. It's extraterrestrial, if you will, but it does exist within the Commonwealth. So that's an open question if you all want to.
Isn't that Wallops Island?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, that's in the Commonwealth.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he meant the.
Yeah, they go outside of the Commonwealth.
That's why they call it
but
space.
It's located, that's what I meant, extraterrestrial, but so it's up to you all, whether you want to include them or not. We have not, as far as I know, we haven't communicated with them, so I'm not sure if they want to be included, but that's an open point of discussion.
Mr. Gregory, are all the agencies within the Secretariat listed above here? Within that Secretariat, are they all listed? Because I know sometimes agencies do move from Secretariat to Secretariat infrequently, but it does happen. But are they all listed there?
I mean, there could be other agencies within the Secretariat that, smaller entities that we haven't captured there, but
Removing these
I
is,
believe we've tried
yeah,
to capture.
I don't know, Mr. Totten might know.
Mr.
Yeah.
Totten might be able to enlighten us.
Asked me that off the top of my head.
I
All
checked
I
it
would do
against
is to
the,
pull up
The website.
I checked it against the website and that's,
But you are right, Mr. Rogish, that occasionally there are sort of shifts depending on how the administration wants to sort of organize.
So the intention here is that if they do switch them, then we would maybe need to update the bylaws. If we're gonna list them, we would need to do a bylaw revision if the new administration pulls in an agency under the Secretariat. So, but the idea is that they're all represented here, so. Okay.
if I can add just a little bit of clarity, and Mr. Riblet, if you want to help me with this, please do, but part of the reason why we were wanting to list those organizations is because for at least the last 2 rounds during our federal certification review, there's been some concern raised that Virginia Department of Transportation holds a seat at the policy board table that Department of Rail and Public Transit does not. And it has been the custom, and it is actually the preference of the secretary and the departments that our bylaws continue to have the Commonwealth of Virginia Secretary of Transportation or designee. The secretary has in these last, this last few years has elected to designate a person from the VDOT side of the house, so to speak, but that is with full appreciation, I would even go so far as to say, from DRPT. And so this is a little bit of a preemptive measure to ensure that it is clear that while in other states, it's a consolidated agency, in Virginia, it's separate agencies, but they very closely work together under the Secretariat, and that spirit of cooperation very much lives in the appointment that's made. So we're probably being unnecessarily, for our purposes, descriptive here, but it is an intention to be able to address a comment that has come up fairly regularly in recertification reviews. I don't know if there's a more direct way to say that, but.
The only thing I would add is that we have a very good working relationship with the RPT. When we meet monthly with our CTB member doing briefings before them, we do that with them. Anything that comes up, if there is a vote, that the secretary's vote, would have an impact, however, Dale or I would vote for that. We certainly make sure that the RPT is in agreement with whatever that vote might be, so.
And I know that at least the current and the previous directors of the departments have concurred that they do not want to change the way that they are represented with this board.
We're not familiar with anything that would take us in a different direction.
So that's a little bit of background on that. I don't know if
thank
you have
you, Martha.
recommendations for that to sort of add language to that asterisk that could provide for that sort of.
On the fly, I wouldn't
Okay.
want to try to come up with that, but we can, if the executive committee wishes us to come up with something, we can do that and recommend it to you all in the full board at a later date.
It's fine.
Okay. In thinking about the Commercial Space Flight Authority, that was captured in that prior list above, as I mentioned, but considering they're outside of the MPO down at Wallops Island, that they should not be included within the even the non-voting membership. But the Virginia Port Authority does have a presence in the MPO down at the Port of Richmond, just down the road. So they would very much be a part of this. Okay, so going to page 45, Article 4, there at the top, officers and elections. We added language there to provide that the chair and vice chair are elected annually in accordance with the non-binding guidance documents regarding the election. So as you all recall, you all have a set of non-binding guidance documents which supplement the bylaws, right? They're non-binding guidance documents. Guidance documents in sort of administrative law speak are documents that agencies issue that are not, they don't have the force of law that regulations might, but they do provide guidance to those who are interested. And the guidance document provides for the rotation of the chair and vice chair among the entities, among the agencies, among the localities that are represented within the MPO. Now, it's non-binding because there are circumstances from time to time where somebody is newly elected and they don't feel comfortable taking on the chairmanship that first year, or somebody is ill and they can't do it, or for whatever reason there needs to be a reshuffle of that rotation, and we adapt to those new circumstances. So that's why it's a guidance document, provides a guide, but it's non-binding if you need to make an adjustment. So that's why the election rotation is referenced there that way. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Officers, authority, and duties. We needed some language there as described in the notes, and that is just to reflect further or to accommodate the change above about the rotation and the non-binding guidance documents. Page 46, if you'll turn with me, to the meeting agendas. The agenda shall be transmitted 8 days prior to the next meeting rather than 10. That was an accommodation. Martha can speak more to that, because that's more of an administrative matter if you want to, Martha.
Yeah, I think at the August meeting when we reviewed this, that was the date that felt reasonable to allow for staff to have more time to ensure that the packet was complete and fully reviewed, and to ensure that staff at the locality level still had time between publication and the meeting to brief members of the policy board.
Okay, turning the page now to 47. There in the sort of top middle of page, section 5, that also is a reflection of what's included in the non-binding guidance documents, and harkens back to the votes, the membership list, and the votes which each locality holds. In the past, there's been some issues with how localities are represented on the body and how they cast their votes. What authority each member designee has to cast the votes for that agency or that locality. Because Chesterfield has 4, Henrico has 4. Chesterfield may have 4 representatives attending the meeting. Henrico may only have 2. How are they? What is their authority for casting those multiple votes? And for the MPO, in order to manage its voting and its meeting process, has developed a process to rely upon the localities to tell the MPO, we have 4 votes. Those votes are going to be authorized to be cast by this member designee. Mr. Jonathan Lyle will be casting all of the votes for Goochland. So your locality instructs the MPO who is the member designate, who's the member that's appointed to the body, and what authority they have to cast the votes allotted to your jurisdiction.
So if, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Ms. Lowe.
Without that, and I'm here, we have 2 votes. Do I need to advise prior that I would be casting both votes?
Yes,
Okay.
ideally.
Well, ideally is now a wiggle word.
Well, that's right. But we're relying, the MPO is relying upon you and your jurisdiction to make that clear to the MPO what authority you have.
And that is made clear by me saying I get to cast both votes.
Or do we need to?
If you were appointed with that authority at your appointment to the policy board, then we would record that and you would not have to communicate that each meeting. But if 2 members were each provided a vote,
Yes.
and in the absence of one of those members, the other had their vote, we would need to have that communicated to us so that we would know that if you arrived and your colleague is not here, we would need to know how to count your vote.
I know I will not be here on December 4th. And so I don't know if Mr. Vodders will be attending in my stead or not, but
The good news is there will not be votes at that meeting, since it's a joint meeting.
well, somebody could make a motion from the floor. I mean, Mr. Davis has been known to disrupt meetings with abandonment, so.
Reckless abandonment, let's put it flat.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
do we call him up on
Yes, for
in
yes,
some form or fashion, so, if the alternate is here instead, so.
We have a form
Yep.
that is aligned with the non-binding guidance document that we ask the clerks of your respective governing bodies to complete, that lays out the allocation of the votes bestowed by the governing body at home and the kind of if-then circumstances that would happen should members who were allocated those votes are not present. And we follow that. So this is, I want to say, we're trying to get the bylaws language in compliance with how the world works. And so this is a lot of what this is right now. We're not necessarily changing what you need to do.
Right.
It's more making sure that what the bylaws say is in practice with what's happening.
that's right.
And do we have those forms completed from each of?
For this calendar year, we do,
Okay.
yes.
It's just, it's really important that if Mr. Davis doesn't, I mean, Hanover County has 3 votes. They have 2 people. I'm not even sure if I know which one has 2 votes, which one has
Right.
1 vote.
Exactly.
But if the person's not here, we just need to know on file who those votes are
Right.
coming to.
There we go.
And
Yeah.
each jurisdiction, we've shared this, it's in the non-binding guidance documents, there's a form resolution that your body can rely on and use to specify who the member is, how many votes they are entitled to cast, all that kind of stuff, and who the alternate is. Now, this is not, we're not saying this is the form you have to use, this is just provided for convenience. Your localities communicate those matters to the MPO in a variety of ways. Sometimes we get a letter from the county administrator, sometimes we get a resolution like this, sometimes it's just a copy of the meeting minutes showing the motion with what the vote was, what the decision was. So it's up to you, to your localities to do that. We're just offering to make it as easy and streamlined as possible.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask,
Yeah, Mr.
where would I find that?
That's in the non-binding guidance documents. It's on the distribute copies. It looks like this. And it's a copy, and this has a listing of all the guidance documents adopted by the MPO and passed.
Mr. Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, yeah, I think it's incumbent upon the localities, and I'm speaking from now experience, because we're having this problem in Hanover as it relates to this board. So it's internal, which has rolled over to become external now on this board. And we're trying to figure out why I was sending some messages this morning. I won't get into family matters, but some folks were not quite sure on some things, and we're gonna have to have some conversations. So my point is, a lot of this is probably needs to be handled back at home. I do like the form in the non-binding guidance policy, and that's what Hanover's gonna use. And I say that with the authority that I have as being the only one here today, so.
Very good. Can a locality, if they're not here, can they offer their votes to another locality? No. And so if they're not here, they do not count as quorum, they do not count in the vote, et cetera.
That's correct.
But they can't, usually can't say, you know what,
There's
Henrico,
no,
you can vote for me today.
yeah, there's no proxy voting in that way.
Okay.
So,
Great points.
Okay, keep going, Mr. Gregory.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
The page 48 of your agenda packet, those are just housekeeping. Again, Central Virginia Transportation Authority is represented on the TAC, and the Virginia Port Authority is a non-voting member there. Do you have any further comment on that? Okay. Page 49, if you'll turn, those are housekeeping measures. There at the sort of the top or the bottom part of the middle, you want to explain that?
Yeah. So we added the distribution of votes to match, this was on the executive committee last meeting, to match the distribution of votes by jurisdiction on the policy board. And then we added this paragraph that's underlined, and there was an internal note just to ourselves that we failed to delete from that. So that parenthesis note, try to avoid jurisdiction throughout document, that was an internal note that should not be part of the bylaws adoption. And so we would want to strike that from the text. Eric and I, Mr. Gregory and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. There's perhaps a word choice preference, but we both agreed that it's immaterial. Jurisdiction is an appropriate term and used quite often in the context of this type of document. So
yeah,
we agreed, we think we're okay.
Right. And then page 50 provides, those changes provide for the chair to create committees with the concurrence of the executive committee. However, each of those respective committees shall elect their own chair and vice chair. There was some discrepancy in the previous language that allowed the chair to appoint the chair, but they can elect. Right, exactly. So those committees can can elect their own chair. respectively. And that is all. We would add a language to the paragraph 17 on page 52 to note when you all finally adopted these bylaw amendments, if and when you do. That's where we are right now. You all have to take double action on the bylaws to make them to make them effective. So theoretically, if the full board adopts these bylaws amendments today, they would come back before you in January meeting. And February, I'm sorry, February meeting. And then if they were approved in February, then they would become effective.
Because we have a few minor cleanup things today, can we still do that today with those amendments or?
Yeah, I believe you could, if everybody's comfortable with that. We could explain that today. We could also
Hold it until the
punt
next.
it, yeah, punt it till a later meeting.
Anyone have an
in February.
opinion on that?
Sooner's better
Sooner's better.
for me.
Get it out of the way.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments, executive team on this?
I would
Yes.
like to get the document that delineates how the votes are forward, so I can make sure we're still current.
Would you like us to just distribute that?
Yeah, it's fine, yeah, it's on the website, but yeah, if you send it to everybody on executive, we need to have that. We do have a quorum now, if we can go back, is there any other business you have? We can go back and we can get a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Lau, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Davis, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We're good on that, right? And I think that for the executive meetings, is there anything else we have to cover?
Not that I have.
Any other comments from the executive team?